All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We are going to be talking to Twins Assistant Player Development Director, Frankie Padulo. Frankie, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, Don, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Tell us about what you've done and what your role is with the Twins.
Sure. Well, yeah, first of all, looking forward to the clinic coming up in January. Excited to speak and get to meet a bunch of coaches and people from around the area. So, looking forward to that. We can get into that a little more in a minute. But yeah, some of my background. So, I joined the Twins in 2017, same year that Derek Falvey and Thad Levine took over. So, it was really an exciting time to join the organization and kind of get in on the ground floor of uh, turnover and sort of rebuild of the organization from the ground up, which was great. I got exposure to a ton of different areas within baseball operations and scouting side of things, pro and amateur, and then also our advanced scouting group, getting our players prepared for the game every night. That was kind of my main focus as an intern, and then as an assistant to advanced scouting, my first full time year, and was really able to support that group and help them from an analysis and statistical standpoint in the office. And then starting in 2019, I started traveling with the team as one of our advanced scouts, so as our coordinator for run creation, and spent a ton of time analyzing opposing pitchers, writing scouting reports on them, and uh, trying to create plans and simplified information for our hitters to go out and beat the pitcher every night. So I spent a ton of time with our hitting coaches, with our hitters, presenting to them, giving them information, everything they need to know on the opposing pitchers, but also on themselves and kind of how they could continue to improve and get better, and working with our coaches on that. So it was kind of a natural transition last year into a player development role, mostly on the hitting side. I work mostly with the position players and helping oversee a lot of our hitter development, and then also our coaches and hiring, but also developing and continuing to grow our coaches and help them continue to get better. So I think it's a nice transition into the clinic, and hopefully we'll be able to provide some good info and help you guys as coaches, in Minnesota. So
Run,
excited about it.
run creation sounds pretty interesting. Obviously, everybody wants to score more runs. Tell me about that part.
Yeah, it was really fun. Fancy title, but really was just kind of anything I could do to help us score runs and help us beat the opposing pitcher. So, we have a lot of information at our disposal at the professional level, and everything's tracked, everything's measured, and it really and everything's on video, which makes
Yeah.
my job made my job a lot easier, and actually a little different than what advanced scouting was even just 10 years ago, or even especially 15 years ago. There was a lot more scouts would go see the next team play. So if we were playing the White Sox and the next team is the Guardians, you'd send a scout to see the Guardians in person and chart everything and watch them and write a report and turn it in. Uh, Now it's all, for most teams, it's all video, and we have a lot of data and stuff at our disposal as well. But you can just see so much more so quickly when you have that technology at your disposal. And I can watch, a pitcher have three starts now instead of one, and it only takes me an hour because I just go really quick pitch by pitch. So that role has evolved a lot as the game has continued to evolve, and uh, really technology has allowed that to happen. So it was a fun role. I really enjoyed it. It was a great way to get in the game, get in with the Twins and the organization, and just be really close to what's going on at the major league level, and what's happening day to day up there, which I try to really bring to our minor league group now, and help those players prepare for what they're going to see when they get up here.
You talk about a 2.5 to 3 hour game, and you're breaking it down pretty much to about 10 or 11 minutes of action, I suppose. And you have to
Yeah,
be
you're
real.
right. Yeah, we get it pitch by pitch, and we'd just be watching our the specific pitcher, and you can just go through and watch each pitch pretty quickly. So
And you're probably looking for
it saves a lot of time.
yeah, tendencies and things they do in between pitches, all sorts of stuff that goes into it. So,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you are now assistant player development. and you've worked really hard to get to that point. And I know that the Twins are super proud, and rightfully so, of their rookie class. Do you want to talk about your impact in that realm?
Sure. Yeah, we have. Well, every year guys get drafted. We send them down to Fort Myers right away, and uh, actually before they even play a game, we have draft camp, we call it, and it's really just a way to get those players oriented and familiar with our organization. And the learning starts from day one. We take them through a series of presentations. Obviously, there's stuff they do on the field and everything too, but we also do some education in more of a classroom setting to familiarize them with everything that they're going to see and uh, do while they're with us, and just kind of show them everything on the front end, everything
Prob-
from how they're evaluated to, uh, how we're gonna, like, the things I just talked about, how we're gonna go attack opposing pitchers, the information on that. So there's a
Mhm.
wide range of things that we educate them on from the get go. But yeah, this last year we had a particularly uh, great class headlined by Walker Jenkins, our number 5 overall pick, and uh, we're really excited about him, and really excited about all the guys from that class. But uh, it's a strong group, and I think we're pretty strong all the way throughout the organization now. We have a really good system, and a lot of years even before I transitioned into player development. There's some really good people here doing really great things with that group, and you've seen it show up now in the big leagues. A lot of guys coming up, and homegrown talent impacting the big league club, and even guys who came up through our system and got traded for players who had a huge impact on our big league club. That's all really relevant too. And anytime you're able to add value for the major league team is what it's all about. At the end of the day, is winning games at the big league level. So whether that's through guys working their way up through the system and making it to the big leagues, or guys who are good enough that another team wants them, and that helps us get better as well. So, yeah, we have a lot of great people here who are really pushing the ball forward and helping our guys get better.
Sounds like a total team effort for sure. When we start talking about January 12th and 13th for our high school baseball coaches and youth coaches of all ages, and we have college coaches in the mix as well. Give us a little preview of the things you want to talk about.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, without giving everything away, so make sure you guys come hear me talk. We'll be talking about a lot about approach at the plate, and kind of how we help our hitters evaluate themselves and define success. We really want to break things down to the process, especially in the professional ranks. We're playing so many games, and such a long season that if guys are evaluating themselves just based on their results, whether they got a hit the night before or not, it's going to be a really long year for them, right? You're going to be riding the roller coaster. You're not going to go 5 for 5 every day. So we're going to talk about how we help our guys frame things from more of a process-oriented standpoint, which not only helps with their mindset, but also ties their evaluation of themselves really to how we evaluate players as an org, and the things that we value for ultimately scoring runs. As you mentioned, the run creation piece earlier, that's what it's all about from an offensive perspective, is how do we score the most runs? Uh, at the end of the day, score more runs than the other team. When you look at the
Sure,
scoreboard at the
sure.
end of the game, that's what it's all about.
Do
So
you,
we're
do
going to be
you,
talking about that from a process perspective.
yeah, do you think that maybe some of the playoff talk and how magnified everything is and how your advanced scouts are all coming together to give you any edge you can on your opponent, and how the scoring just shuts down in the playoffs? You think some of that, I mean, how do you work through that? Because we're all being high school, being in playoffs, doing in college, whatever it might be. We all know that when the lights get brighter, sometimes your team tends to tighten up, if you know what I mean. And are there some things that you're going to talk about there?
Sure. Yeah, I think the things I'm going to talk about will translate, in any situation. And if you're doing specific things at the plate and your process is really good, I think that's also going to help translate to those high pressure situations where, uh, my approach and my mindset at the plate, the more consistent that can be, the more I'm going to be able to show up when the lights get brighter, and things like that. Some of our some of the guys who you saw in the playoff do really good things for us. They're very locked in on the information and the advanced reports, but then also their abilities and what their strengths are, and having an understanding of that. And I think it gives them a confidence at the plate when they go up there and how their strengths are going to play against that pitcher. But uh, it just makes them, very consistent in their approach and their mindset to the day, which should be the same, in spring training and from spring training to a playoff game and everywhere.
Do you think that maybe some of the younger guys have yet to make some steps to, where you look at like a Carlos Correa who's locked in and you can see it at bat to at bat. He's just a grinder and you make a mistake and he'll make you hurt for it. And some of the younger guys maybe weren't quite, I don't know how to, I don't want to say that they didn't show up or they weren't trying. Everybody's trying, but I mean, your reaction to that experience, rookies versus the older guys, and maybe how that translates?
Yeah, that's a great point. Carlos, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with Carlos, and he's one of a kind. He's really locked in on himself, on the opponent, even on his teammates, and motivating them and bringing guys along, mentoring them, showing them what to do. So he's been an incredible asset for our org in a lot of different ways, even beyond what people just see on the field. But he's also played in more postseason games than just about anybody in the league at this point. I think there are a couple guys on the Astros who've played more. But Carlos has as much postseason experience as you'll find, and
Yeah.
once you played almost a full regular season worth of postseason games, you definitely do feel more comfortable in those spots and understand what it takes a little bit more. I would guess.
For sure. Yeah, no
I
question.
still think we saw some of our rookies step up though. Eddie Julian,
Oh yeah.
first season, first postseason had some really nice games. Royce Lewis obviously hit some big homers for us, and uh, you saw those guys make an impact. So credit credit to them. I think credit to our system and everyone who's helped them along the way to prepare them for those moments and prepare them to have success in the big leagues. But then also credit to guys like Carlos and our coaching staff as well in the big leagues who are able to take those guys and really show them the ropes once they're here. So they're on opposite ends of the spectrum a little bit, but I think having a guy like Carlos does actually help those guys, learn faster and develop even quicker once they're here.
And I think those rookies who were able to perform, what a confidence builder for them. And then you start talking about, Kyle Farmer and the veteran pitchers and people who are helping on both sides of the deep defensive spectrum. And I mean, guys are just probably asking you and just picking your brain constantly for information.
Yeah, I think this year, especially having very recently been with our major league group and seen it on a day-to-day basis, I spent a little more time with our AAA team than some of our other people in the hitting space. And it was kind of a natural transition because, well, I knew some of those guys who had been to the big leagues and were up and down a little bit, but two, just to, help the guys who hadn't been up kind of know what to expect and what they were going to get. So I think that was really helpful for our guys. Hopefully they found it as helpful as I felt like I was being.
But you're a part of the team. I mean, you're a big part of
like
that.
A natural transition.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to feel good for you to know that the team had success. There was a point in the season they struggled, and they came out of that, and they ended up winning the division by an incredible amount of games, something that hasn't been done for a while. And they made some noise in the playoffs, and there's only the best that yet to come. So that's pretty cool. And I know we're all in Twins territory, real proud of the team and thankful for your time to be able to spend with us here. And we look forward to being able to learn more from you and listen to you talk January 12th and 13th at Target Field. What else? Anything else you want to add? Anything I'm missing?
No, I just think from a coach education standpoint, and I mentioned that's a part of my role here too. I just want to really plug the clinic and the importance of continuing to learn and continuing to seek out new information and new ideas. Baseball, we have a wealth of information at our fingertips across the game, and the internet and everything has made that so much more accessible than it ever has been. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of ideas and a lot of resources. So the more you can expose yourself to many different things, so that's what I try to do, is get a ton of different perspectives and a ton of different ideas and ways of looking at problems that maybe I thought I did have figured out, but now here's something else to try, because every hitter you get is going to be different, and the more possible solutions you have to the same problem, I think the better, and the more tools you have in your tool belt, because
And
each guy is an individual, and I think that's really important. It's something we really stress with our coaches. Even in the off season, we have Zooms and we talk and we break things down, and we really try to. It's as much about coach development as it is about player development. And you've seen on the pitching side, especially, a lot of our coaches go on to other organizations and other teams, and whether those are major league coaching roles or coordinator roles or things of that nature. And even internally on the hitting side, we have 3 hitting coordinators. All 3 of them were coaches in our affiliate coaches in our system, and have been promoted through their hard work and development to turn themselves into those guys who can be coordinators and help our future coaches learn. So that's a really big thing for us, and I'm just really excited to be a part of that for you guys. And I think the work you're doing here is great to put this on for the coaches in Twins territory here, and hopefully we can pass a little knowledge along and help you guys continue to develop and continue to grow. And looking forward to meeting everybody in January.
cool. It's been a great marriage between the Minnesota State High School Baseball Coaches Association and the Minnesota Twins. And I know that having myself coached for about 30 plus years, if you're doing things the same way each year with different groups of guys, you may want to reconsider and come to clinics and give yourself a few more things, as you say, tools in the toolbox to be able to work with your players and make them better. Because it's a different generation of ball player, and there's so much more information out there than there ever has been. So. That's great. Well, I thank you for your time, Frankie. I really appreciate that. I'm Don Gowerlich on behalf of the Minnesota State High School Baseball Coaches Association. I'm Game 1 and Minnesota Twins Community Fund. Appreciate you watching this. Go to www.mshsbca.org to register for the clinic. If you register by the end of the night, December 31st, there's an early bird discount, and you get to see Frankie down at the ballpark and talk about player development and how to make your players and maybe give them some individual work, some group work, some things that they can do to get better. Thanks a lot, Frankie. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Don.
Yep.
Appreciate you having me on.